guys, it's your girl Chelsea, the wannabe Hecate. I'm finally back on YouTube. I have not been able to post as much as I wanted to in June. Things have been so hectic for me in a way that I was really not expecting at all. I'm sorry for being gone so much in June. I hope to post as much as I was before in July. As always, if you have any questions about what I mentioned in my videos, if you have questions about personalized tarot or astrology work, feel free to shoot me an email or a DM on Twitter, Instagram. All my stuff's gonna be down in the caption and you can check all of that out. Today I'm going to be talking about how Mars is going into Aries this weekend, and it's going to stay in Aries through the rest of the year. That's like 6 whole months, which for how 2020 has been going so far could feel like years, honestly. So Mars going into Aries, it's really cool. Mars is a fire planet, Aries is a fire sign. Mars is going to feel very at home in Aries. Now, if you remember from previous videos I've made, Mars is going to be the planet of your goals, your ambitions, how you go after what you want, your drive. So when Mars is in Aries, its power is going to be boosted. We're going to feel that drive. We feel more spontaneous, we feel more courageous, we want to win, we want to come in first, especially with Aries is the first sign, and they're all about being first. So having Mars in Aries for the next 6 months, it's going to be all about direct action, but what we have to be careful of is being too impulsive, or perhaps even being impatient. So we're talking about Mars going into Aries. How is this going to affect you specifically? So if we look at your rising sign, we can figure out where Mars is transiting at in your chart while it's in Aries for the next 6 months. The house that it's in is going to represent a certain area of life, and that area of life is going to factor very heavily for you over the next 6 months. You may see more conflicts arising in that area. You may find yourself having to stand your ground more or assert yourself. There may be just some kind of disruption. Just expect things to get kind of shaken up because Mars is a spicy planet. So make sure you're watching for your rising sign. As always, the times are going to be down in the caption and you can just skip to whatever sign you want to, or you can watch the whole video if you love me. I'm kidding. Okay, let's go. So, if you have Aries rising, Mars is going to be transiting in your first house, the house of self-expression, your behaviorisms, how you put yourself out there in the world. Expect to be standing your ground and asserting yourself a lot more over the next 6 months. Whatever you believe in and whatever you're willing to fight for, you will. You're very able to make an impression when Mars is in your first house because, as I said, this is how you're putting yourself out there, how you're coming across to other people. And Mars is a very dominant and assertive planet. With this transit, you need to be careful of being pushy. You could have a really short temper and just find that a lot of things are getting on your nerves. Mars in the first house is going to give you more energy to move your plans forward. So take advantage of that, stand up for what you believe in, and you go get them. Taurus rising, Mars is going to be transiting your 12th house, which is going to be the house of past life karma, secrets, dreams, self-undoing. It's a very enigmatic house. While Mars is over here for the next 6 months, you're going to be researching and reflecting on your goals a lot. Now, because Mars is such a spicy planet and it's going to be in your house of dreams for the next 6 months, you might experience some weird dreams or you might experience insomnia. It's like either end of the spectrum. There's no like gray area. It's either like really crazy stuff is happening or you just can't sleep. Expect yourself to be daydreaming more, imagining more, and be open to the new concepts and innovative things that you come up with in your mind. Don't just brush it off as something that doesn't matter. Really sit down with it and maybe it's something that you can take somewhere. When Mars is transiting your 12th house, you're going to have more energy for private matters because that's what the 12th house is all about. Introspection, going within, and working on you. If you have Gemini rising, Mars is going to be transiting your 11th house, which is the house of friendship, community involvement, group activities, things like that. Now, I said before that Mars is all about how you go after what you want and how you achieve your goals. So having it transiting your house of friendship means that the best way to go about achieving your goals right now is to rely on those friends. Teamwork is what's going to make the dream work for you right now. Having Mars in this house can also mean that you may just be doing a lot for other people. You may see the role that you play in their life just kind of it's standing out to you more than it did before. When Mars is transiting your 11th house, you're going to have a lot more energy for organizing your projects and figuring out the strategy to best achieve the goal that you're going after. If you have Cancer rising, Mars is going to be transiting your 10th house, which is the house of career, public image. This is going to give you a very strong desire to be recognized for your accomplishments over the next 6 months. The 10th house is all about how we are seen, so that might be more important to you, and you really want to be noticed because Mars is such a of feisty planet. What to be careful of when Mars is transiting your 10th house is going to be conflict with people in authority, so maybe higher ups at work or your parents, anyone who has any kind of superiority over you. Mars transiting the 10th house is going to give you more energy for career activities and overall just making that career sector of your life more important over the next 6 months. Leo rising people are going to have Mars transiting their 9th house, which is the house of higher education, expansion, philosophy, and travel. This is going to give you a lot more enthusiasm, a lot more boldness, a desire for adventure, to get out there and expand. You want to expand your activities, try new things, really just branch out in any way that you can. With Mars transiting the 9th house, you just have to be careful of getting super fired up about your opinions and maybe being like easily argumentative about them. It's possible to be a little too opinionated when Mars is in your 9th house, because your 9th house is like, it's your higher education, but it's also kind of like your belief systems. So when it comes to having such a fiery planet there, it's very easy for you to get a little up in arms about whatever you're really passionate about. As I said before, overall you're just going to have more energy for new subjects, new activities, and studies. Virgo rising people will have Mars transiting their 8th house, which is also an enigmatic house like the 12th house that I mentioned earlier. The 8th house represents rebirth, transformation. It can also represent inheritance. When Mars is transiting here, you're going to find yourself being more aware of people's subtle actions, the strategic things that they seem to do. They may feel like they're lurking or they're operating undercover, but you see what's going on. When Mars is transiting your 8th house, it is possible that you may hear about something that touches you deeply. You may also find yourself relying on others for support a lot more over the next 6 months. Don't let yourself do all the work. It's okay to rely on others every now and then. If you have Libra rising, Mars will be transiting in your 7th house, the house of partnership, the house of how we relate to people on like a one-to-one scale, as opposed to the 11th house being more like community involvement. So if Mars is here, basically what that means is you might need help to do whatever it is you're wanting to do. Throughout the next 6 months, you might find yourself relying on other people a little bit more, because the 7th house is all about partnership and working together. As I said already a lot of times in this video, Mars is a spicy planet, so you can expect your close personal relationships to be a little more spiced up and a little more lively during this time, since, as I said, the 7th house is those one-to-one relationships. It's close relationships. What is nice, though, with Mars being in the 7th house is that you have more energy to work cooperatively. You're not going to want to just sweep things under the rug or ignore any problems. If anything goes wrong, you're going to want to go ahead and deal with it and decisively end the discussion. This is what it is. We're not going to have any lingering nonsense. If you have Scorpio rising, Mars is going to be transiting your 6th house, and this is the house of work, your health, day-to-day routine things. With that being said, you may find yourself having a larger workload over the next 6 months, or since the 6th house is about your health, you may be taking charge of your health. Now, because the 6th house is the house of work and Mars can be very dominant and aggressive, you may have some disputes with your coworkers happen. It's not a guarantee, it just, might come up. If you find yourself with a lot of excess energy and you feel yourself getting testy and kind of angry, try to find ways to channel that excess energy constructively rather than taking it out on others or lashing out. If you have Sagittarius rising, Mars is transiting your 5th house, which is the house of creative pleasures, what we do for entertainment. So you can expect to have a lot of energy with Mars being in this house, but what you have to be careful of is burning the candle at both ends and kind of overworking yourself or taking advantage of that energy too much. You will have a lot more energy, though, to express yourself creatively, since that's what the 5th house is all about, and since the 5th house can also kind of represent our sex lives. No, YouTube, this video is not made for children. Since the 5th house can also represent your sex life, and Mars is a very aggressive planet, you can also maybe expect your love life to step up a little bit. If you have Capricorn rising, Mars is transiting your 4th house. This is the house of family, your home, your origin story, or your roots, your childhood. This can mean that over the next 6 months, you might be feeling more defensive of what's important to you and working to make yourself feel more secure. If you do have conflicts and disputes over the next 6 months, they're probably going to be family related, since, as I said, the 4th house is all about your family. Overall, you'll just have more energy for domestic matters in general. If you do have disputes with your family, it doesn't necessarily have to be like anything negative too. Like, yes, you could be arguing with them, but you could also be arguing on their behalf or standing up for them. Since the 4th house is about your childhood and kind of your origin story, with Mars being there, it's so aggressive, you have to be careful of not getting worked up about issues from the past or from your childhood that may be coming back to the forefront now. If you have Aquarius rising, Mars is transiting your third house, the house of communication, how you speak, how you learn, how you gather information and analyze it. Since Mars is spicy, you could feel kind of scattered. You could feel like you have a lot of different plans going at once over the next few months. Just make sure you're being careful not to take things too personally and not to be too impatient. Mars transiting in your third house is going to give you a lot more energy for intellectual tasks, since this is about communication and mental energy. That's the third house. And it's also going to give you more energy for communicating with other people, obviously. If you have Pisces rising, gang, Mars is going to be transiting your second house, which is the house of money and material values, but also, what you value, what's close to your heart. But overall, it's about money and possessions. So you're going to be making the most of what you have over the next 6 months. You may also find yourself creating or finding more opportunities to make money. You may be coming into a lot of money, or you may be spending a lot of money. It's something to be excited about because there's probably going to be a lot of exciting opportunities for you to take advantage of. As I stated, the second house can also be about what you value and what is close to your heart. So you may find yourself defending that over the next 6 months. You'll definitely have more energy to prove yourself and prove your worth. If you have more questions about where Mars is transiting for you, or you just, want to know more in general, if you have any kind of questions, leave me a comment, email me, whatever you want to do. Just let's get in touch, let's chat. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting me. And I'll be back with more soon. If you're not following me on Instagram, that's where all the magic happens, so get on it. I don't have a lot of stuff to talk about now because I did it all at the beginning of the video. Love you, bye!